humility is a really good sign of somebody who's traveled a long road and been humbled by how little they know. So some of the best people in the world at whatever the thing they've spent their life doing are the ones that are ultimately humble in the face of it all. So like just being humble for how little we know, even if we travel a lifetime. I do like the idea. I mean, treating sort of like, what is it, psychonauts, like an expert witness, people who have traveled with the help of DMT to another place where they got some deep understanding of something. And their insight is perhaps as valuable as the insight of somebody who ran rigorous psychological studies at Princeton University or something. Like those psychonauts, they have wisdom if it's done rigorously, which you can also do rigorously within the university, within the studies now, with psilocybin and those kinds of things. Yeah, that's fascinating.
I think still probably one of the best works on mystical experience is the chapter in William James's Varieties of Religious Experiences. And most of it is just a psychological study of trying to define the characteristics of mystical experience as a psychological type. But at the end, he considers the question, if you have a mystical experience, is it rational to trust it? To trust that it's telling you something about reality? And he makes an interesting argument. He says, if you say no, you're kind of applying a double standard, because we all think it's okay to trust our normal sensory experiences, but we have no way of getting outside of ourselves to prove that our sensory experiences correspond to an external reality. We could be in the Matrix. This could be a very vivid dream. You could say, we do science, but a scientist only gets their data by experiencing the results of their experiments. And then the question arises again, how do you know that corresponds to a real world? So he thinks there's a sort of double standard in saying it's okay to trust our ordinary sensory experiences, but it's not okay for the person on DMT to trust those experiences. It's very philosophically difficult to say, why is it okay in the one case and not the other? So I think there's an interesting argument there, but I would like to just defend experts a little bit. I mean, I agree it's very difficult, but especially in an age, I guess, where there's so much information, I do think it's important to have some protection of sources of information, academic institutions that we can trust. And then that's difficult because, of course, there are non-academics who do know what they're talking about. But like, if I'm interested in knowing about biology, you can't research everything. So I think we have to have some sense of who are the experts we can trust, the people who've spent a lot of time reading all the material that people have written, thinking about it, having their views torn apart by other people working in the field. I think that is very important. And also to protect that from conflicts of interest. There is a so-called think tank in the UK called the Institute of Economic Affairs, who are always on the BBC as experts on economic questions, and they do not declare who funds them, right? So we don't know who's paying the piper. I think, you shouldn't be allowed to call yourself a think tank if you're not totally transparent about who's funding you. So I think and I mean, this connects to panpsychism, because I think the reason people, worry about unorthodox ideas is because they worry about, how do we know when we're just losing control, we're losing discipline? So I do think we need to somehow protect academic institutions as sources of information that we can trust. And, in philosophy, there's not much consensus on everything, but you can at least know what people who have put the time in to read all the stuff, what they think about these issues. I think that is important.